So, um, so you mentioned the Beatles earlier.
Yes.
And you're a musician. What are some of your other influences? When did you start really picking up on styles you liked, or people who influenced you in writing your own music?
Well, I wrote because I liked what I heard on the radio, and I would try to emulate that. And I remember writing something when I was about 8, and it was terribly cliche, but the words rhymed, and it had its own little melody.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really, the Beatles being on Ed Sullivan, that sort of gave me and a couple of million people permission to do that. The folk music scene was really strong at that time. And those were easy lyrics to memorize and very easy chords. And then the Beatles came along and sort of changed chord patterns, and there was suddenly dissonance and Aeolian cadences and all manner of musical terms I'm still not really sure I know what they mean. But it was easy to be part of that because of the folk music scene. But the Beatles were really the influence, and because they influenced so many, and there was that, what they call it, the British invasion. After the Beatles came just the Who and the Zombies and Herman's Hermits and all manner, and it just became obvious that they were the money people were really just grabbing any 4 or 5 kids that could play a guitar halfway decently, throwing them together, getting a couple of hits on the radio,
Mm-hmm.
and some of them stayed and some of them were gone a year later. But that whole era was the big influence for me. Aside from the Beatles, I liked, and this is a guilty pleasure, but I really like white pop. I'm just, it was Paul Revere and the Raiders, the Grassroots, just, I mean, and these are really very badly white pop bands. There was nothing, I remember a friend of mine had a Leonard Cohen album. Now, I happen to now think Leonard Cohen is one of the best songwriters of all time, and I love his music, but at the time, he was singing Suzanne and Come On Marianne, and I didn't want any part of it. I wanted to hear the Partridge Family. And the Monkees. That's
Mm-hmm.
what I liked. That, something that made me feel cool.
Right.
I wasn't interested in the poetry of it all. That came much later with Tom Waits and John Hyatt, Elvis Costello. When I was ready, it was there.
Mm-hmm.
By the time I had matured enough, I'm like, okay, I've written my 50 pop tunes, and I feel like saying something a little sadder or a little stranger or a little more obtuse. Those people were there for me. But we've been here all this time, and we've always done this, and I really kind of fell in love with music all over again once I discovered the better songwriters.
Right. Right. About how old were you when that sort of new wave for you, the poetry began? Like,
I was about 27, 28, and that's right about what they call the new wave era. So we had your corporate rock and then punk rock, and well, that kind of blew up in England up in the like 74, 5, 6, and got to America, and then of course we gave it the corporate treatment, and so there were these not so punk but punk-esque bands, and then suddenly there was this new wave era in like 80, 81, 82, 83, and the people were taking chances with lyrics, and they were taking chances with melodies, and that was inspiring to me. So, right, I guess that would be my sophomore year of music. Everything else before that was my freshman year, and getting all that pop out of my system, and then that's around 27, 28 is when I decided, okay, now I really know what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And of course you think that, and then the next you move through the next wall, and look back and go, I didn't know what I was doing.
right.
Yeah.
Right. Have you? So you had the freshman year and the sophomore year.
Right.
What year are you in now, do you think?
I think you have a freshman, a sophomore, a junior, maybe if, I don't even know. I can't really complete that analogy all the way up, but I'm at the top of my game right now. I'm the best guitar player I've ever been, and I know also that I have to stay at it if I'm going to stay there. Mm-hmm. I can't get to a certain level and go, great, I'm this good,
Right.
whatever that is, and then stop. and, play the guitar once a month. I have to play it every 3 times, 4 times a week, and sometimes it just comes on me that I better get it out and play it even if I don't want to, just to stay that good, because I forget, or I get sloppy at it. And I go, gosh, I used to know this run. I used to be able to do this. But I'm a little dry right now lyrically. I had a great year. 2012, I think I wrote 4, and that's nothing. I know people who will write 50 songs a year. And they'll use 6 of them, but they'll write 50. And I think I wrote 4, maybe 5 songs in 2012 that I really like a lot. Everybody Pays and You Don't Even Know came in 2012, both of those.